What's happening, guys? Jim the Game Guru. Okay, today's video, it's a wonderful world. I also have the expansion for this. I'm going to dig in, do a quick how to play, two-player simulation, a game about building your empires. All right, so let's dig into this game. I'm going to do a two-player simulation, and I'm going to do one round. The reason why I'm only doing one round is because once you see how the one round is played, every single round after is the same thing. So in this game, what you have is you have three different phases. You have a draft phase, a planning phase, and a production phase. I'm gonna show you the components before we get into the game. So up here, you'll have a lot of the resources that were used in the game. So we have material, energy, science, gold, exploration, and up here is going to be crystallium, which is basically like it's like a wild resource cube that you can use on any kind of card you're trying to build, but you don't have any of these resources down here, you can use a crystallium. Now, the other thing is there are some cards that will actually require crystallium to be used, and those will have like a little red gem mark on their card. Up here we have the main deck that we will actually deal the cards out to each players. Over here we have general tokens, and over here financier tokens. Up here we have the round indicators, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 rounds in the game. There's actually a little marker that you put on the round right here. And the thing I love about this marker is that it shows you which way to pass the cards in the game. The cards are passed in the direction of the arrow. And then whenever you get to the next round, all you do is you flip it over. That's it. You flip it over, the arrows change, and it tells you which direction to pass your cards. I do have the Corruption and Ascension expansion here. So I have 2 cards laid out here. So let's go into some more of the components. Let's go ahead and go into the manual. The manual is actually, it's pretty well printed. It feels good. It's like magazine quality. It's very, very, very easy to read. Very simple manual. I mean, it's only, 7 pages long, so not that long at all. And it goes into detail of what each phase kind of does. It kind of shows you like a top-down approach to each individual phase. So here's another top-down approach to the planning phase over here. And then it goes into a few more details about some of the scoring on the cards. And it'll actually have like a solo mode as well. So solo mode or in a 2-player mode. So the 2-player mode is the same thing as the multiplayer mode. It's just the only difference is you deal 10 cards to each player. And then that would be the pool of cards you choose from as you're drafting. And then 3 of the 3 remaining cards in the draft for each player's hand will end up being discarded. So this is the manual for the game, really simple to read. Here is the manual for the expansion, which is Corruption and Ascension. Again, printed well. The one difference about the one thing about the expansion is that it won't actually have the same backs to the cards. It will have different types of artwork on the back of the cards, and I'll get to that in 1 second. And it goes over the differences during the production phase, the scoring. So in the expansion, you have cards that do duo scoring, and then you'll have cards that actually take away resources in your production phase. And I guess that's kind of like a risk-reward type thing, right? So if you have these powerful cards that give you more reward, the risk is you're going to lose production in certain areas. And it comes with a new scoreboard as well. So here is the score pad that you get with the base game. So it's a very standard score pad. You use a pen or pencil on. And then what happens is when you get the expansion, you're going to get a new scoreboard like this. It's actually a pretty big scoreboard. The expansion will increase the player count to 7 players instead of the 5 that the base game is limited to. So you get this new giant score pad and then give you a dry erase marker that you can use on there. So I like that touch. It's a nice touch. It's an easy way to keep scoring. And you also have the pad in case you're playing with less than 7 players and you're only playing with 5, then maybe you can use the pad if you don't want to waste your dry erase marker or something. So here are the cards. Well, let me go into the cards first for the base games before I get into the cards for the expansion. That way you can see the differences. It's a little easier. So I'm just going to pull a few of these. The theme in this game is I think the theme is really well done. I like how all the artwork in the theme kind of flows. It's not the greatest artwork, but it's pretty decent, and it works in its theme. So here's the anatomy of the card. So I'm gonna go, so like this card is Roswell right here. So so in the anatomy of a card, what you have is the very left side is how much it costs to actually build this particular area. So this one costs 6 exploration. Other ones have different costs, right? So like this one right here, it costs 2 science and 3 energy. Let's go to another one. Okay, so this one right here is 2 gold, 1 science, 3 energy. Down on the bottom right, you have your recycling bonus. So if you decide not to build this in your planning phase and you decide to recycle this, you will actually get a whatever's indicated right here in the bottom right. So this one will give you an energy cube. If you end up building this, you will get the production reward right down here in the middle. At the very bottom here, you have, on the very bottom right, you have the icon that indicates the type of card it is. And then on the left side is an indicator of the scoring. Some cards have special scoring in the bottom left. So this one says for every financial token, you get a 1 victory point. On the top right, you'll have the occurrence of the card in the deck. And there's a really, really tiny, it's hard to see, the little tiny bubble at the very top right, it has a number in there and it tells you how many cards. This one is only 1 card of this in the game. This one, there's 7. And you can see, maybe you can see it if I lift it up there. Yeah, there's 7 of this type of card. But we'll just go through some of these cards here and show you some of the artwork. I mean, you can see, I mean, it's pretty good artwork. I wouldn't say it's the best. I feel like it's very, I don't know, it just feels very plain in certain ways, but I think it fits the theme well for the game. So yeah, different places like oil, recycling plants, research centers, military base, genetic upgrades, parallel dimension. So this is all about stuff like you'd see being built inside of an empire or maybe even war, like a mega bomb for your war. Universal vaccine, lost continent of Mu, industrial complex, super sonar, robotic animals, unknown technology, gravity inverter, Zeppelin, ancient astronauts, transportation network. But you kind of get it. You kind of get what these type of structures or things are that are being built. So let me put this back over here. So ginormous deck. So you have the deck up there, and then you're gonna have the discard pile that's gonna be over here. The expansion, let's get into the expansion. So the expansion, you get about these many cards. It's not bad, it's pretty decent. So whenever you play with the expansion, what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up dealing a certain amount of the base card games out to every player and a certain amount of the expansion cards. And then people choose what they want to kind of use. So border patrol here for this expansion card. So you can see at the very bottom, there's a spot where it's kind of slashed out. This card, if you build this card, you'll get 1 gold during your production, but you'll also lose 1 exploration. So this shows you how the risk reward is. So I guess if you really need more gold, because this only costs 2 materials to make. That's it. 2 materials to make, and you get a gold off the get-go. But for that power, for having that ability to create this really quickly, and for that power, you're gonna sacrifice an exploration cube. If you decide to recycle this, you will get an exploration cube, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so a lot of these will have like the slashes in the bottom for that risk reward. Some of them won't. Some of them will just be like, hey, you know, if you're able to get these materials, then you get a pretty big bonus. Let's see what we got to see. Some of these actually you can get, oh wow, that only takes 1 material and you get the crystallium for that. And this is one of the crystallium icons. Let's see if there's one with a duo scoring so I can show you. So here's some scoring here. This says, you know, for every 2 of this type of card, you will actually get you get 2 victory points for every type of that card. 6 victory points for, here's a duo. So here's a duo scoring. So this says if you have a pair of cards, one of the material type and one of the energy type or military type, whatever this tank icon is, if you have a pair of these cards, you get 6 victory points for every single one of those pairs, which is really, really cool. So I like how this expansion actually gives you that risk reward plus the duo scoring. So it kind of changes your gameplay to, you know, to the point where you may want to do more pairing of certain cards. So here's another one. This is for every financier token, and then whatever that military type of card is, you get 6 victory points for that as well. This one's just 25 right off the get-go. Wow, but look at that. Look at the cost of that. All the way down in this. Wow, yeah. It's an awesome-ass card, but my God, the production cost on that is crazy. Yeah, super powerful card, super cool. For this little demo, though, for this simulation that I'm going to go with the, and you can see the backs are different, too. For this demo, I'm not going to do a how-to with these cards. All you got to know is that the expansion adds those 2 new mechanics, the reduction and they're a little bit more powerful, the reduction of production and the duo scoring. So we have 2 players here, and let's go ahead and I'm going to show you the empires here. So we have Nations of Oceania, Federation of Asia, I don't even know how to say that word, Hegemony of the North, Republic of Europe, Norm States, Pan-African Union, and Aztec Empire. So you get 2 more empires with the expansion to take you to 7 because each player gets an empire. There is an A side and a B side to every single empire. So for this example, I'm just gonna go ahead and play A side. I think I'm just gonna do the Oceania and the Federation of Asia. So we'll do like this, put these ones back. Now, let's go into the very first phase of the game. The very first game is the drafting phase, and what you do is you find a card that interests you, one that you really want to play, right? Or one that you want to construct. So what you're doing is you're planning cards here. You're deciding which cards to draft in order to either recycle or to build. So what I'm gonna do is, I think, because each card will produce something, right? We'll do Transportation Network. Okay, so Transportation Network, this person's going to keep that. And then they're going to pass the cards to the left, right? Or to the right, depending on what the round is. Now, this is the only part of the game that you can actually mess with anyone in the game. Is you will look to the person to your left or to the person to your right, depending on what round it is, then in which direction you're passing, and you're going to look to see what that person on your right or left needs before you pass the cards to them. And this is the only part of the game where you can actually prevent somebody from doing something. If there's a card that they really, really need, you're probably going to want to keep it. And even if you can't build it, you can just recycle it to get its rewards. You don't want to give people easy cards that they need to help build their empire faster, because their empire, as you build cards on top of it, it's kind of like an engine building type thing. The more cards you put on, the more production you're going to get in your empire of resources from the general supply. So this is the only part of the game that you can actually mess with somebody. I'm actually kind of that's one part of the game that's a little disappointing for me, because I'm a type of person that I love to mess with people. I like strategies where you can build like this massive combo if you do it just right to then implement a bunch of different effects. Or I like strategies where you can do something to help manipulate someone else's hand or someone else's play and kind of mess with other people. So in this game, there's not too much of that. The only part of that in this game is during the actual draft. Other than that, the only person that's going to beat you is you. That's it. No one else can really beat you. So you got to make sure you play your cards right. So this person over here is going to say, okay, what am I going to do? I think they'll probably do, I don't know, they'll probably do like military base, okay? So like keep military base. Okay, so when you choose your cards, you put them down so everyone can see them. So I'm going to put them right over here. I'm going to try, I have a limited space here. So this one is what? This is the ones that go to him. This is the one that goes to this person. Okay, so, and the reason why during the draft you show your cards immediately, the ones that you've kept, is so that way when the next card is chosen, I know what this person already has in play or what this person already has in play. So I'm going to look over here and say, oh, they've got a military base. Okay. And it's not so much of a big impact early in the game. Early in the game, I mean, but later on in the game, it matters because as there's cards up here, because each player in their zone has their empire with their production cards, or I mean, their cards already constructed on their empire. they have a construction area, and then they have the cards they put in their draft. And later on, you're going to see what they have in their construction area and what resources that player needs. So later on, definitely in later rounds, it becomes a little bit more of an impact. I'm probably going to do Financial Center because this is going to give 2 gold as a production thing. So they keep that. I'm going to pass this over. Now this player is going to go. What are they going to choose? I don't know, maybe they'll do the airborne. There we go. And then they pass this over to them. And you can see how that's done, right? Obviously, this being 2 players, the exchange is like this right now. But if this was like 3 players or 4 players or whatever, it would be going around the table like that, okay? The cards would be passed around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick draft right now of the remaining cards. Remember, it's only 7 cards, so 7 cards. The other 3 cards that are left in the hands of both players' hands at the end, because in a 2-player game, you're getting dealt 10 cards. Those last 3 cards for each person are going to be discarded in the discard pile, okay? So I'm going to do this really fast, and then I'll see you guys right after. I'm going to fast forward through here and see you guys right after that. Okay, so there we go. I've got the 7 cards put down during the draft phase. I'm going to go ahead and discard these cards right here. So these guys go up in the discard pile because, like I said earlier, the last 3 cards of each hand are gone. Okay, so now we get into the planning phase here. So during this planning phase, what happens is everyone plays simultaneous. And this is another thing that's very, in this game, that's very, I don't know, it's very unsettling for me, is that everyone plays simultaneous. I'm not a person that cares about cheating as much because I feel like most people play honestly in games. But we all make mistakes. I mean, even I make mistakes playing these board games, and I like it when somebody double checks with me to make sure I'm playing the game right and say, oh, you made a mistake there. I'm like, oh, shoot, yeah, you're right. And then I change it to correct my mistake. This game is very hard to see if somebody makes a mistake, and because somebody may not know they make a mistake, because a lot of the gameplay is played simultaneously in the rounds. Okay, so let's go ahead. We have the 7 cards. Now, during this planning phase, we need to decide which cards we're going to move up into the construction area. So let me go ahead and move some of this crap over here out a little bit so get a little bit more room. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you guys earlier, but you get a ton of tokens for the financial and the general tokens. I have them all in the bag. I just didn't pull them all out. So these are not just the only tokens that are available. Okay, so now what we do is we choose, hey, what are we going to build? So this person might do something like this. And one thing I remember is the production in your empire is based off of what your empire is already producing. So when you choose your first set of cards, you want to go in line with what you already have produced, because you're not going to get production of resources from these cards yet until these are built. So I'm definitely going to do the financial center here. Oh, sorry, not financial center. What am I going to do here? I think I'm definitely going to do a giant dam here because I'm getting 2 gold and 1 material from this empire here. So this giant dam actually costs 3 materials and 2 gold. So that already gets me over halfway there on that card. So we need to choose what cards are we going to keep and what cards are we going to recycle. So you got to look at the production of your empire plus the recycling, because if you're 1 short or 2 short of a particular material, you may want to do a recycle in order to get you there. So this, like I said earlier, the giant dam on this, I'm already over halfway there with this. So I may end up recycling this transportation network to get me the 1 material, an additional material to put on here on the giant dam, which would be great. Let me take a look to see what else we have here. So let me go ahead and just choose what cards I want. So this one, I'm not getting any gold over here. So I might do something like, stick the airborne laboratory up there. And this person might also want to do like a tank division. And maybe I'll do the military base too. That might be something I'd want to do. I don't know. I'm thinking that. These 3 cards I might keep down here for recycling. I think I might recycle these. I'm not sure. That's kind of where I'm going. My head's at right now with this. So financial center, I'm probably on this one. I'll probably do that one as well. Research center, yes. Turbines, I think I might I don't know. I think I'm gonna do Zeppelin, and then turbines I might recycle. I think nuclear plant I might recycle, and transportation network I might recycle. So these three I might keep down here for recycling. I think these three I might keep down here for recycling as well. Now, one thing I didn't mention before is that whenever you get resources, you don't have to stick them on the cards that you're planning to build, because these are the construction areas right here, right? You don't have to put them there. If you get a resource, you can put it on your empire if you want. And if you end up putting it on your empire, once you get 5 of them, you can exchange them for a crystallium. And like I said earlier, crystallium are requirements on certain cards, and they are also wild tokens, wild cubes that you can put on any resource in order to build that card. So I think this is what I'm going to do. All right, so let's go ahead. So we've already planned out, this is the stuff we've slated for construction, and then now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and recycle these. And as you're recycling these cards, you can choose where you wanna put your resources, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna recycle the transportation network. So that's gone, that gives me what, 1 material. And the 1 material I'm gonna slap on this card up here. And then this one I'm gonna recycle for an energy cube yep. So that one is, I think I want to put over here on the Zeppelin, because the Zeppelin only requires 2. It only requires 2 of those energy. This one right here, I'm going to recycle as well for another energy cube. So there you go. So 2 of them right there. That is basically built. So let's go over here. I'm going to recycle this. I have a gold that I'm getting. So this gold right here, I'm going to, from this card that I'm recycling, I'm going to put this on my empire for later on when I can swap it out for crystallium. This I'm going to recycle as well, and I get a blue. There's nothing that I have up here that requires blue, so I'm going to put it over there as well. And then I'm going to recycle this one, and I'll get a black energy cube, and I'll probably put it on the tank division. No, I'm not going to. Oh, yeah, I'll probably put it on the tank division. Why not? So put one there. All right, so here are the things that we have slated for construction. This one right here is already built. So the Zeppelin, these resources go back. So now this will end up overlapping on top of my empire. So just like this. So what you do is you put your cards over top your empire. Now my empire here is going to produce a material, 2 gold, and the 1 energy cube. And then every time you get cards built, what happens is you overlap the other card, so that only the bottom is showing. So then what happens, you have 2 science. So let's say if I built this research center, I would have 2 science, 1 energy. I'm sorry, 2 science, 1 exploration, and 2 gold and 1 material. And I don't know if I said energy on that. That's actually exploration. Okay, so that's already built. Just like that. What else do we have? Nothing else is built here. So now we enter the production phase. Dun, 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 dun. So in the production phase, what you do is you go by each material 1 by 1, just like that. Each particular resource cube, you go 1 by 1. So the first thing that we do, now on the top of each resource, there's a reward for supremacy. So let's say if whatever player gets the most of a particular resource during each production step will end up getting 1 of those tokens. So if you have whoever has the most materials produced will end up getting a financier token. Whoever has the most energy will get a general token. Whoever has the most science can choose between a financier or a general, and then financier and then general for those ones. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the material. So I'm producing 3 over here, and this person is producing only 1. So this person will end up getting the supremacy. So let's go ahead and do the cubes first. So they're going to go ahead and do these 2 cubes here, which will construct the wind turbines. Now the other one, they're going to put on the tank division right here. So all I need is 1 more black. Now here's the one thing that's very, very important is you got to remember in the production step, you're going from left to right. So as you're constructing these buildings or these services or whatever, you need to remember that order, because right here is a perfect example of one that I'm building in order that helps me build another card on the very next step. Because what's happening is that this one right here gave me 3 materials. So I was able to build this and put another material here. But the very next step is gonna be the energy cube. So when I look at the production for the energy cube, I get 2 of them because I built this on the previous step. So now after building this on the previous step, I get an extra production as we flow from left to right. So one good strategy in this game is to find an optimal way of building your buildings or services or whatever, so that as you're building them, they build as you go left to right. So they kind of just flow. You don't want to build something, put all your resources into one thing when you could have built couple smaller items and then have it flow more and have it produce more resources for you, instead of dumping all your crap into one thing, hoping that you get it right, within a round or so, or 2 rounds or whatever. Okay, so the wind turbines are created for this person, okay? So this will go over here. This will overlap over top of their empire here. Okay, so this person, let's see how much, they only had 1, right? They had 1. So their 1 is gonna go right here into the giant dam. Now we get into the next step. Well, let me get into the supremacy bonus, because this one's supremacy bonus is financial token. So this person over here gets that. They get 1 of those tokens that they can use later on a card, or at the end of the game for scoring. Okay. So now we're gonna go into the energy cubes. This person now their empire is building 2, so they get 2 of them. So they're going to dump 1 into the tank division, and they're going to dump 1 into probably the military base. I think the military base is probably best choice for that. So they're going to go ahead and those are gone. Now this is constructed. Now this overlaps here. So now this empire has 1 exploration cube, 1 energy, and then actually 2 energy, and then 3 materials. So now with this person, what's going to happen is that they have what? They get nothing. No energy cubes over here produced. Supremacy bonus ends up going to this player again because they had the most of the energy cubes. Now we get to science. Does anybody build science? No. No one has any science production in their empire. So now let's go ahead and go to gold. This person here has 2 gold. They will definitely get the financial token bonus because this person has nothing, no gold. So we get 2 gold right here, just like that. And we're going to put these 2 resources right on this giant dam. Okay, so this card over here only needs 1 more material in order to be built. Let's go to the exploration. So the exploration cube, this person has 1, this person has 1. It's a tie. I can't remember what you do on a tie. I can't remember if both players get a token or if nobody gets a token. So I don't know. I'd have to look at the manual for that. I can't remember what happens when you get a tie on resources. But anyway, so this person gets 1 exploration. And where are they going to put it? They don't have a card here for exploration. They're just going to put it on their empire for later on. This person gets 1 more exploration. Do they have anything to be built with exploration? Nope. They're just going to put that cube on their empire. And there you go. So that is the very end of the production. And then you're going to go to round 2, right? And what do you do on round 2? You flip this over to round 2. You put this over the round 2 indicator up here. And then you start again. And what you do is you deal out cards again from the deck. You'll deal out 10 cards in this case because it's a 2-player game to each player. The drafting phase goes through, and then you'll get to the planning phase where you slate things for construction or recycle things, and then you'll get to the production phase where you do each step 1 by 1. And then at the very end of the game, after you go through all 4 rounds, at the very end of the game, what you do is you do tally of points. The scores come from the bottom of the cards, from your empire card and from the bottom of cards. So some of these cards that I discarded earlier, I probably would have held on to them if it was a real game. Like these ones with the 8 and 7 victory points, maybe I would have held on to one of these so that later on when I build them, I would get the victory points for the end of game. And then what you do is you take those victory points that are on the bottom of the cards and you put them on your score pad. But I think in this case, with this kind of simple simulation 2-player how-to, I decided to go for more production and show you guys how the cubes and stuff are associated. But in reality, you probably would have had 1 or 2 that you would save for higher victory points later in the game. That's how you play this game. It's really, really, really simple. I really like the game. I really like the expansion too. I like how the expansion introduces the duo scoring and the risk-reward concept. But yeah, it's super, super easy to play. You can play this with anybody. I feel like most players, like most board game players, you can play this. Probably not children. The age requirement is 14 and higher. So I think for children, they probably wouldn't get this. But I think for most adults that are into board games or any type of board game should be able to play this pretty easily. That's it, guys. I am Jim, the Game Guru, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.